Welcome to this Explainer Masterclass. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are tackling a high-stakes, make-or-break topic that literally stands between you and top marks. We are looking at Cambridge AS and A-level accounting, specifically Syllabus 9706. Today, our total focus is on cracking the double entry system and the accounting equation. But listen, this isn't just about memorizing some dry textbook rules. This is an elite-level strategic masterclass on exactly how to dissect complex questions, manage your time under pressure, and deploy the critical thinking that Cambridge examiners are actively hunting for. If you want to stop bleeding those frustrating partial marks and start demonstrating top-tier understanding, you are in exactly the right place. To kick things off, let's step straight into the examiner's lens and look at command word anatomy. When you see a complex high-tariff question, the ones worth 9 to 15 marks, the command word is your absolute true north. Take the word analyze versus evaluate. When Cambridge says analyze, they want you to take a complex financial situation, like a suspense account error, and break it down into its core double-entry components to show exactly how it impacts profit. But when they say evaluate, that is a whole different beast. Evaluation requires you to pass a reasoned judgment. You have to weigh up the validity of an accounting policy and explicitly state a conclusion. Or think about explain versus to what extent. Explain just wants the factual mechanics. To what extent demands that you explore the gray areas, the limitations of the data, and the hidden constraints of the prompt. We're going to be using a digital highlighter mentally throughout this session to isolate these command words, pinpoint the exact content knowledge required, and expose the traps that the examiners have set for you. So let's get into it. Here is our roadmap for today's session. 1. Core principles of accounting. 2. The procedural framework. 3. Critical analysis and evaluation. And 4. Top examiner warnings pulled directly from recent principal examiner reports.
Section 1. Core principles of accounting. Let's look at the foundations.
Now, you might be wondering why we're dedicating an entire masterclass to this one area. It's because this topic appears in every single examination series, without fail. The double entry system and the accounting equation are literally the heartbeat of Syllabus 9706. Mastering this topic is entirely non-negotiable. It is guaranteed to show up on your test, often disguised within more complex scenarios like incomplete records, partnerships, or manufacturing accounts. You cannot bypass it, you cannot skim it, and you certainly cannot fake your way through it. It is the plumbing of the entire accounting universe, and if your plumbing is leaky, your whole financial structure collapses.
So, how is Cambridge actually grading your brain when you sit down in that exam hall? Examiners target 3 distinct cognitive domains, also known as assessment objectives. First is AO1, knowledge and understanding. This is the baseline. Do you actually know the rules of debit and credit? Do you know the formula for the accounting equation? Second is AO2, analysis. Can you take a messy, convoluted paragraph of transaction data, strip away the noise, and break it down into its component parts? And third, the holy grail, AO3, evaluation. Can you judge the validity of that data, consider alternative accounting treatments, and make informed, justified decisions? Successful candidates, the ones hitting those top-tier A and A-star marking bands, must demonstrate competence across all 3 of these levels. It's simply not enough to just know the facts. You have to actively analyze and evaluate them in real time.
The absolute dividing line between average and elite candidates comes down to this: superficial breadth versus analytical depth. To really picture this, let's look at 2 typical types of scholars we see all the time. Let's call them Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is highly technical. Alex excels at formulas, memorizes broad facts, and recites textbook definitions perfectly. But when Alex faces an open-ended, 15-mark evaluation question, Alex hits a brick wall, relying on superficial breadth and hoping throwing facts at the page will stick. Then we have Sam. Sam is a highly creative thinker, incredibly strong at forming arguments and conceptual perspectives. But Sam struggles with structural precision, format conventions, and timing. Sam loses easy marks because of a lack of rigorous analytical depth. What top-scoring candidates actually do is combine both. They display structured, logical reasoning. They exhibit a connected, conceptual understanding that they can transfer to totally unfamiliar contexts. They don't just state that a motor vehicle was bought. They understand how that capital expenditure alters the accounting equation, impacts liquidity, and triggers depreciation policies. Depth always wins over breadth.
Section 2. The procedural framework. The exact step-by-step methodology examiners look for.
Whenever you face a complex double-entry problem, you must systematically process it using a strict, standardized 5-step sequence. Think of this as your cognitive survival guide. Step 1. Identify the key elements from the text or tables. You have to actively hunt for the source documents, the dates, and the hidden adjustments. Step 2, apply the relevant accounting principles. Are we dealing with accruals, prepayments, the prudence concept, or the matching principle? Step 3, execute your analysis, and please, I cannot stress this enough, show clear working. Step 4, verify your results. Does the accounting equation still balance? Do your debits equal your credits? And Step 5, present it all in the appropriate format. If you skip a single step, your foundation crumbles. This sequence is precisely how you navigate the chaos of raw exam data and turn it into a flawless answer.
Now, let's talk about a strategy that is an absolute game changer. I call it the method mark strategy. Cambridge exams generously award marks for your process, not just the final, perfectly calculated answer. They use something called the own figure rule, or OFR. Let's say you make a minor arithmetic error under pressure in Step 3. Maybe you calculate depreciation slightly wrong. But you carry that flawed number correctly through your T accounts in Step 4 and perfectly format it in the balance sheet in Step 5. By following the standardized sequence, you earn crucial method marks for your procedural execution. You are literally earning points for showing your logic even if your final calculation is off. The examiners are conducting an autopsy on your thinking process. Give them something to mark. Always show your work.
Of course, all this logical sequence must translate directly into your final presentation. You cannot just scribble floating numbers on a blank page and expect the examiner to play detective. The practical application of the double entry system requires strict presentation conventions. Proper headings are mandatory. Correct terminology, using balance CD and balance BD correctly. Appropriate formats, using the correct column layouts for ledgers or journals. Clear annotations showing where your working figures came from. This is about developing professional skills. The examiners want to see that you can format a ledger account exactly as a practicing accountant would in the real world. Messy, unorganized work bleeds marks, period.
Here's a great question I get all the time. With all these strict rules and high-pressure constraints, how can you actually encode and remember the complex flow of accounting data when the clock is ticking down? Well, I want to share a highly effective memory hack. Use a visual story method. Instead of just seeing abstract debit and credit numbers on a page, visualize the physical flow of the transaction. Imagine the literal cash leaving a secure bank vault, traveling across town, and turning into a massive piece of equipment sitting in a warehouse. Mapping out the double entry concepts as a vivid, visual narrative makes the abstract data incredibly sticky and almost impossible to forget during the exam. Now, right before we dive into the absolute hardest part of this syllabus, the critical analysis and evaluation section, I need to pause this session for a quick second. If you are serious about crushing your Cambridge exams and you want a consistent, weekly edge, you need to hit the subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE, O, and A levels at the handle @AceTheExam_IGCSE. Make sure you enable all notifications right now. Click that little bell icon so you never miss a single breakthrough strategy. We are dropping high-level masterclasses every week, and you want to be the first to get these examiner insights. Okay, let's get back to the board and tackle the heavy stuff.
Section 3. Critical Analysis and Evaluation. Unlocking the top-tier marking bands.
Evaluative thinking is the absolute holy grail for assessment objective 3. This is where the A stars are made. It requires you to do 3 specific things. 1. Question assumptions in the prompt. Are the directors being overly optimistic about their bad debts? 2. Consider different perspectives. What are the alternative accounting treatments? How would a potential investor view this compared to a supplier? And 3, justify your final decisions with hard, undeniable evidence from the source data. Let's bring our scholars Alex and Sam back into the picture. Imagine they're in a collaborative digital study suite working on a brutal 15-mark essay question about whether a business should change its depreciation method. Alex is aggressively pushing for a purely factual approach, just wanting to list out the straight-line formulas and the T account entries. But Sam is arguing for a broader perspective, saying, no, we have to talk about the concept of prudence. We have to talk about how this inflates the asset values on the statement of financial position. They debate back and forth, hitting a wall on how to actually structure this on paper. This is where you have to synthesize. Good candidates interpret complex texts. Exceptional candidates evaluate them, poke holes in them, merge the facts with the concepts, and back up their arguments with concrete proof.
When you are asked to compare data, you must identify both similarities and differences. This is exactly where Alex and Sam hit their major drafting roadblock. They've got their facts, they've got their concepts, but they can't figure out how to link their paragraphs smoothly. This is where I use a cognitive strategy to get them unstuck called the paragraph balance formula. Comparative analysis in the double entry system requires way more than just listing facts in isolation. You must use explicit comparative connectives, words like whereas, however, conversely, or in contrast. And you must support each side of the comparison with direct evidence from the table or text. If you are comparing a manual double-entry system with a computerized one, don't just tell me what the two things are. Tell me why their differences matter in terms of accuracy, speed, and error correction. You are literally building a bridge between two sets of data and drawing a reasoned conclusion about their relative importance.
Section 4. Top Examiner Warnings. The most common pitfalls to avoid.
Directly from the principal examiner reports, they warn that, quote, candidates consistently confuse key terminology, end quote. This is a massive, glowing red flag. When you are under pressure, the clock is ticking and the adrenaline is pumping, it is so incredibly easy to swap one accounting term for another, thinking it means roughly the same thing, mixing up markup and margin, or confusing provision for doubtful debts with an actual bad debt written off. But in Cambridge accounting, precision is literally everything. Vague language or confused terminology screams to the examiner that your conceptual foundation is shaky and they will immediately cap your marks. To really drive this home, let's do a quick interactive workshop segment. Imagine I'm projecting a complex chart on the screen right now, detailing a company's ledger balances, and I'm putting a 60-second countdown timer on the board. In a real exam, you have less than a minute to scan that data, identify the normal balances, which ones are debits, which are credits, and spot any anomalies before you even pick up your pen. Your brain needs to be trained to spot these terminology traps instantly.
Following up on our interactive workshop, let's play Spot the Flaw. If I show you a poorly written student answer that says the business made a lot of money, so their cash went up, you should instantly spot the flaws. Made a lot of money is not an accounting term. Did they generate a net profit? Did they receive capital? Your ultimate defensive strategy here is to define your terms. Before you apply a complex concept in an extended exam response, explicitly state the meaning of the key accounting vocabulary. If you are arguing about the matching concept, write down exactly what the matching concept is first. By defining your terms up front, you instantly prove to the examiner that you understand the core concept. This acts as an insurance policy, protecting you from losing AO1 marks later if your complex evaluation gets a little bit tangled or poorly phrased.
Let's rapidly synthesize this entire masterclass by looking at the top 3 reasons students fail to secure full marks, so you know exactly what traps to dodge. Mistake number 1, answers are just too vague. Examiners absolutely despise generalizations. They want specific details, numbers, and ratios extracted directly from the prompt. Mistake number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. Remember those strict conventions we talked about? Dates, folios, clear balances, ignoring them costs you easy, free marks. And mistake number 3, answers are not specific to the context given. If the question is about a struggling manufacturing business with outdated machinery, your evaluation must apply to a struggling manufacturing business, not just some generic textbook example you memorized. To counter these, remember our 3 core memorable pillars from today. First, the 3-step question scan. Identify the command word, isolate the data, define the constraints. Second, the paragraph balance formula. Mix your technical facts with conceptual arguments using comparative connectives. And third, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Verify your formatting, check your terminologies, and ensure your debits equal your credits. I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought. As Alex and Sam realized during their session, you can't just rely on the math. Are you relying on rote memorization, hoping to regurgitate facts, or are you truly ready to transfer deep conceptual understanding to totally unfamiliar contexts? The double-entry system and accounting equation are not just rules, they are profound tools of logical reasoning. Master the process, embrace the method marks, and relentlessly apply critical evaluation. Crushing your Cambridge exams requires consistent, elite-level strategy. If you found value in this breakdown, you need to explicitly hit that subscribe button right now for Ace the Exam's IGCS O&A levels at the handle @AceTheExam IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you are fully locked in for our future exam hacks, and drop a comment below right now with your specific target grade. Declare it, commit to the strategy, and go get it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you in the next masterclass.